This is 5 on your side at 10.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us at 10. I'm Brent Solomon. Mike and Ann have the night off. Tonight, a deal is finalized to divvy up the $500 million in that Rams settlement money. And new tonight, Robert Townsend hit the streets to ask many of you how that cash should be spent. He's live at City Hall for us tonight. Robert.
Hey there, Brent. You know, a lot of folks are talking about this, and we're talking about $519 million. Again, you bet a lot of folks are talking about how to break down those mega bucks. Again, this is what we're talking about. Here's how it breaks down. $280 million will go to St. Louis City, with $30 million dedicated to the Convention and Visitors Commission. Now, the St. Louis County folks will receive $169 million, and the Regional Sports Authority will get $70 million. The president of the Greater St. Louis Labor Union is crossing his fingers. Many of his 80,000 union members will benefit from the Rams settlement. Now, I also talked to a St. Louis dad who said he'd like to see the city invest in schools and also turn old vacant lots into new businesses. Now, the mayor's chief of staff says right now they are focusing on spending the $29 million American Rescue Act funds, which has a deadline. Now, after that, they will collect public opinion on how to spend money from the Rams settlement. Brent?
All right, Robert Townsend reporting for us tonight. A chilly night all across St. Louis, and we're going to drop into the teens overnight. So what can you expect when you head out of the door in the morning? Let's go over to Chief Meteorologist Scott Cano with your weather first forecast.
Well, the one thing we will not be dealing with tomorrow, Brett, is a strong gusty wind like we woke up to earlier this morning. Those winds have settled down some this evening, and it looks like as we head through the remainder of tonight, the winds will not be as big of a factor. Well, the lights just kind of have toned down over here at the Missouri Botanical Garden, where it's down to 29 degrees right now. All throughout the metro area, temperatures are in the upper 20s to right around 30 degrees. Mascouta's 27. Look at Pacific, though. Already down to 23 degrees there. Berkeley's down to 27 in North County. O'Fallon, Missouri's also 27 degrees. You get back up towards Kirksville, Des Moines, and Omaha. Upper teens, right around 20 degrees. This air is dry, and those winds have settled down. Skies are mainly clear across the area. Doing the live radar scan right now, and Doppler radar not detecting anything. That is good news for us. Under that clear sky and with light winds, temperatures are really going to drop off tonight. Teens to around 20 degrees in most of the outlying areas early tomorrow, Brent.
All right, we'll check in with you shortly, Scott. Well, tonight a man is in custody after a string of smash and grab burglaries all across the city. Dozens of businesses have been broken into in recent weeks. Police are not saying which break-ins their suspect was involved in, but they believe he is a part of a group of people committing these crimes.
As far as the number of burglaries that have occurred in the past month, we're easily looking at 20-some burglaries that have been committed by this individual and his co-conspirators. Again,
that person not being identified just yet, but he is in custody, and officers tell us they are increasing patrols overnight. Well, tomorrow is the last day for Illinois lawmakers to send a revised Safety Act to Governor J.B. Pritzker's desk. On January 1st, Illinois is set to become the first state in the nation to abolish cash bail. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, reports from Springfield, where work is being done to clarify the law.
We needed to add more details.
Democrats went back to the drawing board to clarify confusion in a new law abolishing cash bail before a New Year's Day deadline.
Literally on December 31st at 11:59 on New Year's Eve, and 1 minute later, a brand new law goes live and we will have a new system.
An Illinois court is scheduled to hear arguments from state's attorneys next week after they sued to block that law from taking effect.
Part of the amendment here is trying to address issues in the lawsuits.
John Kern is the newly elected Senate Republican leader.
Would you characterize this as an improved bill?
It is improved, yes. Does it still jeopardize public safety? Yes.
The revised plan would expand the law to allow judges to detain suspects accused of all felonies if they deem that suspect a willful flight risk, a threat to public safety, and it adds explicit language allowing pretrial detention for crimes like second-degree murder, arson, and kidnapping.
The beauty about what we're doing now is our goal is to keep people that are dangerous, they'll remain locked up and they won't have a bail.
Peoria Democrat Jahan Gordon Booth says the new system will close a current loophole in public safety policy and crack down on violent offenders or domestic abusers.
You could commit a heinous crime and be given a bail, say on Christmas Day, but on January 1, there will be no more bail.
Still, Curran, a former prosecutor, wants to expand that list to include a broader range of nonviolent drug-related crimes.
We are limiting the discretion of judges.
Despite pending changes to the law, states' attorneys plan to press on with their legal challenges.
But the issues will still be ripe for the court and ultimately the Supreme Court to decide.
A push to advance the bill in the Senate stalled briefly, leaving just one day, Thursday, the last day on the calendar this year for the House and Senate, both chambers, to debate and pass a revised version to Governor Pritzker's desk. Reporting in Springfield, Mark Maxwell, 5 on your side.
Great work, Mark. Thanks. We have some good news when it comes to the price you're paying at the pump. Gas prices continuing to fall. The average price around St. Louis is now below $3 a gallon. Prices have dropped 30 cents in the last month. Over in the Metro East, drivers are still paying around $3.61 a gallon. That's 12 cents higher than the national average. Well, colder temperatures are starting to arrive, and one Verify viewer wanted to know, how does winter blend gas affect your fuel economy? Here's Brandon Lewis with the answers.
When you fill up your car, you probably don't think too much about the gas that goes into it. But in the fall, gas stations started selling a winter blend of fuel instead of a summer blend. Verify viewer Deanna texted us to ask if that winter blend lowers her car's fuel efficiency. So Deanna, let's verify. Does the winter blend of gas make cars less fuel efficient? Our sources are the U.S. Department of Energy, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, Gas Buddy, and AAA. The federal government requires refineries to make 2 blends of gasoline, one for the summer and another for the winter. The summer blend reduces smog when temperatures are hotter, while the winter blend helps ensure your car runs in cold weather. All of our sources say the summer blend is slightly more efficient for your car. The last time the Energy Department studied the difference in fuel efficiency of the 2 blends was in 1995. The agency found there was a less than 2% difference in fuel economy. So a car that gets 26 miles per gallon in the summer might get about 25.5 in the winter. So, yes, the winter blend of gas does make cars less fuel efficient. But it's not a significant difference. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
And if there's something you'd like us to verify, we'd be happy to look into it. Send us an email to verify@ksdk.com. Well, tomorrow marks 1 year since a St. Louis County police detective was killed in the line of duty. He died in a head-on collision with a stolen car in Bellefontaine neighbors. On the 1-year anniversary, a shelter at Bellefontaine Park will be renamed Detective Antonio Valentine Memorial Shelter. The dedication ceremony will happen at 10 in the morning. Much more news still ahead. Surviving long COVID. Even finding treatment can be difficult. The steps to find proper care.
And you will need those extra layers out the door tomorrow, but not necessarily because of the wind. It's just going to be flat out cold. We'll get you caught up to speed on what transitions as we head into the weekend.
Tonight, Congress facing 2 major deadlines. Today, the House approved a bill to prevent a nationwide rail strike, blocking what could be a devastating blow to the economy. Lawmakers are also under pressure to pass a spending bill by mid-December to avert a government shutdown. Here's Alice Barr to break it all down from Washington.
Congress in a sprint to meet key deadlines before the end of the year, today passing the baton to a new generation of leaders. House Democrats making history by electing Hakeem Jeffries as their new leader, the first black leader of either party in Congress.
The least, the lost, and the left behind, House Democrats fight for the people.
Jeffries will lead the caucus in the minority when Republicans take control of the House next year.
The joint resolution is passed.
And in a rare show of bipartisanship, the House today passing legislation to avert a nationwide rail strike that threatens economic calamity by grinding supply chains to a halt just before the holidays. The bill that imposes a labor agreement between rail companies and their workers now heads to the Senate.
We want to avoid a shutdown and be as fair to the workers as we can be.
But some senators in both parties are threatening roadblocks.
Why should the federal government force a contract on workers that they have explicitly rejected?
The workers' biggest sticking point, paid sick leave.
The unions, where the members voted the deals down, felt that this needed to be a part of any ultimate agreement.
The House approved a measure to add sick leave to the labor deal, and some Democratic senators say they won't support it without the sick leave. But time is running out. President Biden today warning that without a final vote this week to avoid a rail shutdown, railroads will begin to halt the movement of critical materials like chemicals to clean our drinking water as soon as this weekend. All this as the threat of a government shutdown looms just weeks away. While negotiations continue over how to fund the government by December 16th, there is progress on another priority for this Congress, the House preparing to take up a bill protecting same-sex and interracial marriage that has now passed through the Senate with bipartisan support. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Tonight, the St. Louis Metropolitan Pandemic Task Force says a surge in flu, COVID, and RSV cases is posing significant challenges. Right now, the task force says hospitalizations are not at unprecedented levels, yet most remain at or near capacity. Healthcare workers are also being impacted by these illnesses, which puts a strain on care and available beds. And doctors warn we aren't even at peak season yet.
Flu hit us early and hard this year. Normally we'll see it in December, January, February. This year it hit in October, November.
One encouraging note, local hospitalizations of RSV cases are declining. Well, we're learning more about what's being called long COVID. Patients report debilitating symptoms lasting weeks or even months. Some say it's hard to convince doctors that their symptoms are real. Tonight, Consumer Report shows you how to find relief. Here's Mike Bush.
For years, 72-year-old Louise Salon had her asthma and acid reflux disease under control. But that changed when she got COVID in March of 2020.
I could never get a full breath. I thought for sure I was going to die.
Hit by debilitating fatigue, Louise spent weeks in her bed. Her inhalers barely worked. COVID aggravated a condition related to her acid reflux so badly she had to have life-saving surgery. But her problems persisted. More than 2.5 years later, Louise is like the estimated tens of millions of people affected by long COVID. And although there's no test for it, the CDC now recognizes it as an emerging condition and has released guidance for doctors to help treat patients.
Tell your doctor about your symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, breathing issues, or stomach troubles. They may also refer you to a specialist. For example, if you have heart palpitations, they may suggest a cardiologist.
Also look for a long COVID clinic at a hospital or university and seek out support groups. Survivor Corps, Body Politic, and Long COVID Alliance can help connect you with providers and people who are experiencing the same thing.
If your daily activities are substantially limited, you could try applying for disability benefits, which may offer some protections like job leave.
And make sure your doctor knows the diagnostic code for long COVID, U09.9. That way, insurance may be more likely to cover costs. While Louise's insurance covers her new inhaler, her copay is still costly, nearly $400 for a 3-month supply. Her quality of life over the last 17 months has improved. She can now resume normal activity on a given day, but she has to recover in bed all day the next.
I made it through, and I'm improving. I'm grateful to be alive.
Mike Bush, 5 on your side.
Now keep in mind, getting vaccinated and boosted may minimize the risk of long COVID by reducing your chances of getting sick or the severity of your illness. A possible big shift tonight in blood donation policy. Right now, gay and bisexual men must wait 3 months after sexual contact with other men before they can donate blood. The FDA announced it may shift away from those blanket assessments toward more individual risk-based donor screenings for HIV.
3, 2, 1, here we go!
Well, check it out. Tonight, President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden celebrating the 100th lighting of the National Christmas Tree. It's surrounded by 58 smaller trees on the ellipse near the White House. A live look tonight at Rockefeller Center in New York City. As you saw right here on 5 on Your Side tonight, they flipped the switch on the famous Rockefeller Christmas tree. The 82-foot tall tree is decorated in more than 50,000 LED lights and topped with a 900-pound Swarovski crystal star. How about that? Well, Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell now joining us with the Weather First forecast. Another cold one out there.
You know, yeah, it is. And that must be a sturdy tree, you know, one that can hold the snow, they say in that song.
Yeah.
You know, that 900 pounds for a star on top of the tree.
Well, hey.
That's a lot of weight. All right, weather-wise, we are talking out at Lambert right now. Mainly clear skies, a cold night across the bi-state area for sure, but air traffic running along pretty well for most of the country tonight. The exception to that would be in the Pacific Northwest. There are some high clouds coming into southwest Missouri right now, and they'll tend to increase a little bit during the overnight hours, but it's really mostly clear and cold. Down into the 20s already for most of us. Some of us getting into the lower 20s, like DeSoto, where it's 22 right now. Warrenton's down to 25 degrees. Mount Vernon's at 27. There is still a bit of a breeze, and while it's not as strong as what we were seeing earlier, it doesn't take much to knock those wind chills down into the teens when it's as cold as it is right now. Currently in St. Louis, officially Lambert coming in with 29 degrees. Wind has settled down to the west at 5 miles per hour. Around 2 o'clock this morning, some wind gusts in the metro around 40 miles per hour. May have kept you up early this morning or awakened you. 40 was our top temperature today, 27 for the low this morning in St. Louis. Overnight low temperatures are dropping back into the teens, maybe mid-20s in town. We do expect the winds to continue to settle down across the area. And tomorrow, while the breeze will pick back up, it'll be out of the south-southeast, and it won't be as strong and blustery as what we were dealing with today. And it will eventually get above 40 degrees once we get past lunchtime. Temperatures climb a little bit. As we look at the jet stream pattern and the energy that's in that jet stream, these are the things that drive our weather systems. There's one coming into the Pacific Northwest right now, and they're getting some pretty good snow out there. But you see all the red and orange just kind of streaking across the country and right through the middle part of the country, including over us heading into next week. There are several disturbances that we'll deal with between now and, say, next Wednesday or Thursday. At this moment, none of them look overly impressive. The first one that we'll deal with is coming through Friday night, and it's a cold front that'll swing through. Most of the rain east and southeast of St. Louis. We could surely see a sprinkle or a spritz as that front comes through overnight Friday night. But the more important aspect of this is Saturday's going to be blustery and cold. Temperatures are going to struggle on Saturday. We have 43 on the high. That may be early in the morning, perhaps even before sunrise. Much of the day with that cold, gusty wind will feel like it's in the 30s. Now, there'll be more clouds rolling back in on Sunday, and there is a rain chance on Sunday, but it appears to be mainly to the south of St. Louis. So mostly sunny skies expected for tomorrow. At times partly cloudy. We're up to 46. Your winds out of the southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Not nearly as gusty and blustery as it was today. But ahead of that front on Friday, you better believe we have a stiff wind. We're up to 59 degrees for the top temperature on Friday. That's ahead of the front. Front comes through, you're cold, you're breezy on Saturday. We go to Sunday, into Monday, into Tuesday. Those disturbances sliding by. Indications are the better chances for rain would slip south of St. Louis as we head into Sunday, perhaps even into Monday and Tuesday. There's another system towards Thursday and Friday. And temperatures as we go through the next few days are up and down. And if we get those cold temperatures during the overnight hours and we can drag in enough moisture, then maybe we have to worry about a little wintry precipitation. But again, nothing is signaling a big problem. By the way, it's the last day of November. Look how we did. Temperature's going to average out overall pretty close to average, but we had that really cold stretch there in the middle and, of course, ending it with the cold stretch. And as far as rainfall and snowfall, when you melt everything down, we're about an inch below the normals for the month of November. And that's pretty much in the record books at this point. December 1st starts tomorrow.
Yeah, but if you ask me, we can just stay below normal, all right, when it comes to the snow.
Yeah, well, we're working on that.
That's my wish, at least. Scott, thank you much. We've got Holden now in for Frank with sports.
Well, Brent, the Billikens were looking to rebound after dropping a heartbreaker on the road at Auburn, but would they be able to answer the bell against Tennessee State? Plus, Pat Maroon continues to make waves on and off the ice.
And once again, 5 on your side, teaming up with the Foster and Adoptive Care Coalition for the Little Wishes campaign. We still have more than 2,600 wishes to grant to area foster kids. Just go to ksdk.com/littlewishes to purchase a gift.
Sitting at 5-2 after a heartbreaking loss over the weekend, SLU head coach Travis Ford said he liked where his team set heading into tonight's matchup against Tennessee State. But after a back-and-forth first 10 minutes that might have had Ford sweating a little more than he'd like to admit, Gibson Jimerson and the Bills stepped on the gas. He's going to go back door here. He's going to get the deuce and abuse, putting SLU up 6. 2 minutes later, Yuri Collins doing what Yuri Collins does. He gets in the lane, drops it off to a trailing Jake Forrester. That would stretch the lead out to 12, and in the second half, it was really just more the same. Collins going to get out in transition, and watch this. Court vision here finds a streaking Gibson Jimerson who lays it in for 2. Collins would finish with only 4 points, but he would break his own school record with 20 assists and only 2 turnovers as the Billikens roll 80-63. 22 games into the season, the Blues sit on the outside looking in at the playoff picture. But the good news is they're just 1 point out of the wild card. The bad news, though, is their schedule really isn't getting any easier. After a 1-game absence, Robert Thomas returned to practice today, and he's expected to be full go tomorrow against Carolina. But during today's practice, Coach Craig Berube hammered it into his team that they've been too passive and they need to shoot the puck. However, the guys in the locker room say it's on them to be more consistent game to game.
We seem to play either up to or down to the level of the opposing team, so hopefully this drags us into the battle and pulls us out of it.
Other than the losing streak, you look at our last 11 games, we're 8-3, so that's pretty good, and I think over an 11-game span, you'll take that any day of the week.
Listed at 238 pounds. That was day 1 of training camp. I got a feeling he's had a few more pizzas between then and now.
After Bruins announcer Jack Edwards took a shot at Oakville native Pat Maroon's weight, the man affectionately known as Big Rig decided to take a negative and turn it into a positive. Maroon announced on Twitter today he was making a $2,000 donation in support of those struggling with mental health, bullying, and body image, and a number of his teammates followed suit. It's safe to say the 3-time Stanley Cup champion is making his hometown proud on and off the ice. And congratulations are in order to St. Louis and Steve Cash. The goalie today was named the first sled hockey athlete to go into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. He's got 3 gold medals and 5 world championships on his resume. That's what I call a Hall of Famer. And it's a busy weekend for some area prep football teams. 4 Missouri schools are up for state titles. St. Dominic is going to play St. Mary's, and then there's Cardinal Ritter. And of course, there's Francis Howell, who's charged towards some school history. Despite consistent success, the Vikings have never won a state title, dating all the way back to 1968. They have run roughshod over the opponents this year, averaging 48 points per game. And they want that title not only for themselves, but for their fans.
The support's been unreal. I walked off the field with, I think, 240 text messages when I looked down at my phone after the game, and just to see what people were doing in the community at the local Frankie Martin's place in Cottleville and some of the local bars and restaurants supporting us and having showings, it's pretty cool. We want to get it done for this community.
Down in Oakville tonight, the Tigers welcomed in Melville for the Southside Classic, and the Panthers would come out on fire. Marcus Jacobs going to miss the mid-range J. Matthew Wolf tracks it down, gives it back to Jacobs, who avoids the defender, lays it in to give Melville the 15-point lead. But Oakville would try to keep it close by playing a complete team game. Here they swing it around to Tommy Hennessy. He drives in the lane, gets his defender in the air, and drops it in for 2. But Oakville really struggled to stay in front of Marcus Jacobs. Look, he drops his defender there. Somebody get some ice for his ankles. He'd get the bucket. Melville holds on for the 61-43 win. And we have an important programming note for NFL fans. Next week's Chiefs-Broncos game has been flexed out of the evening lineup in favor of the Dolphins-Chargers matchup. I know we're going to have some disappointed Chiefs fans, Brent, but I really don't think anybody really wanted to see Denver in primetime again this year.
Some folks are going to fight you on that one.
I don't know. There was some pretty boring games earlier this year.
I love it. Hold it. Thank you much. We'll be right back. Tonight, a new historic marker stands outside of the old Illinois State Capitol in Springfield. Earlier today, Governor J.B. Pritzker unveiled a plaque marking the site where President Barack Obama announced his historic presidential run in 2007. The governor says it, quote, serves as a reminder that one of our favorite sons brought a message of hope that resonated across the world. Heinz is once again offering Christmas in a can. It's a soup containing turkey, pigs in a blanket, Brussels sprouts, stuffing, potatoes, cranberry sauce, and gravy. A limited supply is only available in Britain. So just in case you say, I want that, you'll have to travel. That's all of our time, my friends. For 5 on your side at 10, we appreciate the company. The Tonight Show, starring Jimmy Fallon, is next. Dolly Parton is Jimmy's guest. Remember, you can always catch your news bright and early beginning at 4 a.m. right here on 5 on your side.